Okay, recording this video after close of trade, Tuesday 12th of June 2012. Well, with today's activity I think we're going to run up for a couple of days because kind of lurched down to the 1300s, kind of got all everybody excited that we might be going down, and that kind of got rid of all the sellers, and then we bounced pretty strongly from there, about 1.9 million contracts traded. And we're on our way to make cyclical resistance levels on a whole bunch of charts. So I'm just going to roll through those really quickly. So this is the Dow, and you can see better sine wave's got a couple of days to go before that resistance kind of comes in here. This is Russell, same thing, couple of days before we get a cyclical turn, which will be a pullback and a downtrend on the Russell. This is S&P 500, again, a couple of days to that cyclical turn kind of comes in. And then lastly, NASDAQ here, same thing, we're in a downtrend, that'll be pullback in a downtrend. So that's got to come in here, somewhere between, hopefully, here and that breakdown level. But it's also happening on all the risk on and risk off charts. So here's crude. So crude, we're coming up, these two lines will come closer, cross, and that'll be, again, cyclical resistance level, pullback in a downtrend. Aussie dollar, same thing, running up here. Couple of amateur bars kind of up here at these just sitting underneath parity, which I've always said is really important kind of psychological level, but we've got these things kind of coming closer together, a couple of days to run here. Euro, same thing, coming up, these things will get closer, we'll cross and then turn over, and that'll put in a cyclical resistance level. Gold, it's kind of come in, so we're just kind of weakly coming back up that underneath that resistance level. And silver, it's not kind of been confirmed yet, but we need that. We've had the cross happen on silver, and so pullback and a downtrend will go off at some point kind of soon. And then copper patterns kind of a little bit messed up. We're kind of in a downtrend underneath support here, so the lines have not kind of come together to form a kind of classic pullback and a downtrend, but you know, all the others are. And then if you look on the risk off charts, dollar index, we're coming down to some kind of cyclical support when these two better sine wave lines cross. US 30-year bonds, same thing. This kind of, they look like they're far apart at the moment, but they can come together really quickly, and in 2 days they'll be kind of touching, I would suggest, and then looking for that cyclical support. 5-year, same thing, kind of coming down. Be a pullback in an uptrend on this chart, and this is 10-year. 10-year, it's kind of a stronger trend, so the lines are kind of still parallel, if you like, but give it a day or two, and they'll kind of come together. And then when you look at the oscillator chart, I was saying that we had this bearish divergence signal kind of go off, I think it was on Friday, and that would signal in a couple of days' time the trend oscillator turning down. Well, the trend oscillator actually turned down yesterday, and that took us out of this long position into a short position on the better trend systems. And sometimes it does this kind of signals a little bit early, but we're kind of coming back again, so I'm waiting for another kind of little bit of a trick down in the oscillator when this kind of turns again, and then the better put call ratio will probably line up with that at the same time. So what I'm looking for is a little bit of an extension until we get all of those time frames, and it'll be a whole bunch of charts kind of coming together at the same time. So it's going to be a strong move when it happens, or a strong resistance level when it happens. My guess is it's going to kind of complete to the downside, but kind of wait and see. And so on the daily 135 and 15-minute charts, 45-minute charts, you can see we've put in this bottoming pattern here. We're bouncing from there. This couple of days activity that we've had, really large ranges here. We're kind of, so there's a whole bunch of positions being taken at the tops and the bottom of these ranges. So when we break out, either way, that'll be a strong move, and this is the move I'm expecting. So on the 45-minute chart, we had support today. Blue professional bars kind of come in the end of yesterday, beginning of today, hold that support level here. We've had our exhaustion selling down here. We're going to break above these highs, I think, kind of into these 1330 type levels, put in a resistance level, and then have a little trend move, and that trend move on the 45-minute chart should line up with a resistance point here on the daily chart. So I think we'll have a little bit of a spike up. I'm not sure it'll run all that hard. There was quite a lot of selling going on the last couple of days. A lot of people didn't want to join in with the rally that started kind of on Sunday, or the gap up, and Sunday we had this kind of spike, and you can see it in the tip bar charts. So this was the spike on Sunday evening, with a gap up of about 20 points or so. And this thing, I mean, it's almost like, you know, the Thursday, I think this was, before, we had a spike up and it just kind of sold off. So spike up and it sold off. But, you know, it's gone into a pullback in an uptrend. Got the resistance level, looks like it's kind of going to come off print kind of shortly. So we're in a little bit of an uptrend here, having had our flush pattern here. But we've not seen, this was a real spike in volume here for the first time. But you know, we need another one of those similar to this type of reading to go off to signal that. So between here, where we are today, just under 1320, and this kind of, I think it was about 1345 up here, 42. So somewhere in this region, you know, between now and 1350 is an area that we potentially could turn around in the next couple of days at. So let's see if we go for that little bit of a run on the upside on the 45-minute chart. 13,500 tip bar chart, nicely pulled back, marked the pullback and reversal point today. Pullback to end of trend. I must admit, I thought today was really tricky trading. Let me just show you on the 1500 tip bar chart why that was the case. We'd had, you know, the damage from yesterday where we'd kind of run down. So this was the Sunday night. We had all this exhaustion activity. Let me go all the way back. So, you know, huge kind of spike up, the 20-point kind of spike up, and we'd run all the way down with Monday's activity, and then we came into Rambo patterns kind of down here. So we were making this bottoming pattern here. I thought this was a little bit of a rush for the to get that move kind of going. Didn't work out, and we kind of went the other way. And I was thinking with the bullish divergence when that kind of came in, we had all these support levels here. Yep, that's kind of good enough, solid enough bottom to be able to start an uptrend. This is one of these signals I'm kind of looking for to signal potential change in trend. So I was kind of jumping on board a long trade here at 5 and a quarter, and it was looking good. We looked like we were kind of breaking out here, and we just stopped dead in our tracks right at this resistance level here. And all of this just looked like a really kind of narrowing, kind of range wedging type pattern, and we just fell apart from here. So I got out. Well, no, I didn't. I made a 3-point loss on that first trade, and then got short at 3.5 into this move here. Took a couple of points on the way down, so saved myself a little bit there, and then got long way too early at 2.5, and we went through this kind of lurching pattern down here, which I gotta tell you, I think it's very difficult because they were big ranges as well. These swings were, you know, good 2 to 3 points, so, you know, stops were getting blown out either way. We were making this kind of, you know, exhaustion selling bullish divergence flush pattern down here. The blue professional bars kind of come in here right at the low, but I got kind of freaked out thinking, well, 1300 psychologically important level. I made a mistake of going short kind of around this area here, and then just got taken out at a stop. So not good. At that point, when I was taken out by my stop, I was down 8. But went long at 4.5 and made the 8 back in this move up to 12.5. So ended up kind of par for the day, but tough work. I think this was just really tricky to trade down here. Possibly I should have just stepped back and waited for a cleaner signal. But my mistake was thinking, no, this is falling apart and going short, because I could see on the long-term chart, on this chart, I could see us going into this and this being made with all these blue professional bars kind of being made here. So it's just a mistake to kind of go short. Anyway, trials and tribulations of trading. And I'm in a little bit of a shock today because Apple, fantastic, you know, kind of new MacBook Pros, but it looks like they're dropping. The 17-inch MacBook Pro, which I just can't believe. I live and breathe on this machine, so does my wife. And the new one with the solid-state drive is just an awesome machine. And that they're going to be dropping these is just, this will be a collector's item, I suppose. But it's just, you know, shockingly bad news. Anyway, I might tag on that last day trade because an 8-point trade for me is a rare occurrence. So I'll kind of have that kind of recorded for posterity. Hope you traded well today. Long 450, and just way late into this move, but taken out at my stop at 325. So because now we're breaking into an uptrend, we're above resistance on the 500, 1500 tip bar chart. We've done a heck of a lot of damage on the downside here with all these the 1500 tip bar chart just showing these kind of moves down, every single one just busting stops. So, and freaking me out, but anyway, bullish divergence right on the zero line. So we're breaking into an uptrend now, so let's try and get something back today. We just had a little bit of a retrace here down to 1303s, rainbow patterns, amateur down bars here and here, bouncing off resistance becomes support, 1500 tip bar charts. Now we're kind of racing away. Want to see targets at 850, but let's see, want to see some kind of a pro-signal exit on the upside, so this might kind of keep on moving my target out to see if we can get that. Okay, breaking out now to 1306s. Got a resistance on 500, so maybe do a pullback to end of trend here. We're breaking above a resistance on 45 as well. So this pullback to end of trend kind of looks good. All these blue fractional bars getting in on the lows and then chasing it out again. So we've got a Rambo pattern here on 4500 tip bar chart, but hopefully we'll get through sixes. The first target's at 850, but really low readings at the moment, so let's see, let's get a pro signal exit. Okay, just moving the target out to 1250. Just on the off chance it might go that high, so exhaustion buying here on the 500 tip bar chart. Blue fractional bars kind of going through resistance into a trend move here, so we're in a trend move on the 1500 as well. 7000 on better momentum, so hopefully now we'll run a little bit harder. Previous highs kind of around here, 875, so there'll be a bunch of stops to run there. Okay, we just come through the first target, was at 850, and the previous high was at 875, so we just bust a bunch of stops there, but I don't think it's over. This is a big reading, it was about 12,000 on better momentum on 1500, but still we didn't have blue professional bars kind of taking profits there. We're in an uptrend on these three time frames. We're above our resistance here and here, so I think this is going to run a little bit longer, so might as well hold out for a little bit more. So yeah, let's see, pro signal exit, pullback to end of trend, anything like that will be a good place to take profits. This blue fractional bar on the 1500 tip bar chart kind of comes about 8,000 on better momentum, but you know, it's not a blow off move yet. It's gone a bit exponential at this point, but we haven't seen that pro signal exit. Could get lucky. Targets at 1250, we just got up to 11, so another 1.5 to run, so fingers crossed. Okay, we just pulled back from the highs at 1311. Amateur bars here, pull back at an uptrend's gone off, Rambo patterns just here, so I'm hoping we'll push through 11 again, so and you know, get that kind of pro signal exit, get taken out at 12.5, you know, pull back to end of trend, whatever that kind of ends up. I think that'll be a good place to get out, so just hope for a little bit more. Just out at 1250. Excellent. That was actually 8 points, which is a big trade for me, but that only makes me break even for the day. Unfortunate, but true. After 6 trades. Tricky one today. Anyway, was that 13,000 on better momentum, blue professional bars kind of coming in here. It's just got to 13.25. That's a nice kind of extension move, pull back to end of trend to be taken out on, so looks pretty exhausted at that kind of lower. What have we got down here in terms of readings? About 15,000 on better momentum down here, so 14,000's a comparable type figure, so pro signal exit I think ought to go off here kind of shortly, but you know, we still got to see pullback to end of trend on the 1500 tip bar chart, so could well go a little bit further. So yeah, it is what it is in terms of these long-term charts. That pullback to end of trend was a beauty, and then we kind of raced away from there. So let's see where this ends up, but I'm done for today. It's 10:22 AM. It's just gone 1:22 AM here in Sydney, Australia. Hope you traded well today. So I finished recording that. Pro signal exit goes off here at 1500 tip bar chart, up at 1313. So that was a good exit up at 12.5. So happy with that. Blue professional bars kind of coming in. They got out here on this kind of shoulder here, getting out here as well with that exhaustion buying signal up there, which is pulled back to end of trend. So quite happy with that.